Well, good morning, Hedrick.
Morning, Alice.
It's Monday. It is hot and muted, and I just want to give a shout out to Victoria Thompson. Happy birthday, girl.
Happy
I know
birthday
that you
to
just saw her
you.
down in Florida, and I spent a couple of days. We celebrated her birthday. She dragged me to some places around Epcot because I didn't want to buy a ticket. I'm like, I'm just here to hang out with you, celebrate your birthday. She's one of my favorite educators and
Me
is
too.
really out there working hard to advocate for teachers. So we really appreciate her. So happy birthday.
Did you get to see Ren? Sorry,
I
Victoria has
did
a
get
dog.
to see Ren, and that's her dog, and he snuggled with me. Also, I have a great Instagram post that I did on the Tiller account, so make sure you check that out because we took Ren for a walk, and then I put some little bubbles on it. So it was fun. I should probably cross-post it over onto my educational account. But
I'm glad you're mentioning dogs. Ha! Because that is a perfect segue into doom scrolling. Okay, so this is our discussion, and Alice said that this is trite, but I say this is not trite. That people doom scroll, and I always wonder, how do people doom scroll? You doom scroll obviously because your algorithm says that you want to look at the doom and gloom. So I think that you should curate one space, at least one space on social media that is
I
filled
am very
with
pro
joy.
curating your online spaces, right?
Yes.
I wanna talk about education, I follow educators, I try to leave some of the other things out, although I very much like politics, and I've got too much politics and not enough education in some of my feeds, so I'm trying to weed some of that out, like, I just don't need that.
And I mean, you can curate your feeds for different things. I mean, honestly, my TikTok is all dance and education. Education is wonderful there. Twitter used to be my complete education space, but I use my Instagram space to it's I don't have news, I don't have a lot of education except for my personal friends who are doing wonderful things. I have a lot of Cincinnati Zoo, puppies, babies, music. There is joy there. And so literally if I need to take a break, just a mind break, there's no doom there. If I want to read the news, I know where I can go and read the news, but I actively choose what I consume and I don't get fed that constantly. So make sure that if you are, especially if you're into social media, watch what you are doom scrolling about and curate a different kind of feed because it'll help you to not be so angry, not be so tight all the time, and that makes you a better teacher and a better human
Or
being. Puppy
I have endless
videos.
scrolling comes with it.
No, if I
I
read the news
I like to
and
watch
then I turn them
Bridgerton, shorts, and it does send me a lot of cat videos,
whatever your joy thing is,
which
if
is
it's recipes, if it's crocheting, but curate a social media feed that supports that because you can always go get the news. It's everywhere. I mean, you have millions of outlets that you can look at.
you know,
It's not going to not be there. You won't be uninformed because you are not constantly scrolling on Facebook reading everybody's take on the news. You won't be. And you'll be a better person for it. Cortisol. Fight the cortisol.
okay. Alright. You should intentionally curate your space and have some spaces that you have curated that is educators who lift you up, who encourage you, who share resources, be that on Blue Sky or Twitter or Facebook. Find that space that helps you to not just find people who are complaining, but find people who are being positive and sharing positive things. And you do have to go out there and intentionally create those spaces. And I definitely have that. My Instagram is all educators. And a lot of them are dancing. So no complaints. I appreciate everyone sharing a little humor. I don't like posts that complain about students. Like we can all be lighthearted about 6-7 or whatever is
Six,
going on.
7, 6, 7. Woo! 6, 7. I'm sorry. I just know that teachers need to have some.
I like kids. That doesn't bother me. Kids being kids doesn't bother me. It's sometimes the adults that get to me, but that's a different but is I like to follow people who have some positive takes on how to build positive relationships and do fun activities and give me something that I'm like, oh, I want to try that. Or maybe showing a frustration of where like, oh, I can make something that'll fix that. So I was talking with an educator this week, and I guess form limiter is they said it wasn't available anymore. I didn't check. Form limiter has a couple of features, I think, that I don't use it. So you're using a Google form, and when so many people have filled it out, it shuts it off. The problem with anything like that, I know that the other one that people really request all the time is once so many people choose an option, that it would shut down that option. That's really tricky to code because let's say 5 people are filling out the form. You can't execute the code on opening the form. You execute the code on submitting the form, if that makes sense. So if 5 people have the form open and there's one choice left, say you're signing up for something that's of limited supply, all 5 of those people have it in their form as an option. And then one person submits it. Okay, that now the code can load on form submit and it can remove that choice. But what about those 4 people who are still taking the form? So it gets really, really tricky that way. But so far as just shutting it down when you have so many responses, that's relatively easy to do. So I am working on adding that to my quiz helper add-on because I love hearing like things that I can do that. I can help with that one. So it's not on there yet, but it's coming. I'm going to update quiz helper. If you go to alicekeeler.com/coded by Alice, I have a lot of add-ons that will help you as an educator. So those are things that I enjoy is seeing people like point out some flaws in some technology that I'm like, oh, if we could do that, we can make that work. So speaking of flaws in technology, I have a shocking revelation for you, Hedrick. You ready? Google
For it.
Classroom will not improve learning. Neither will fill in the blank. If most EdTech tools, especially if you're using them at a substitution level, if you don't change what you do and because of how you're using it, the same is the same and potentially worse because it wasn't designed for analog situations, and then you have just the digital in there. So someone had shared on LinkedIn, his name is Kareem Cooperhouse, and he posted, I'm just going to read a little bit of this. I analyzed 100 EdTech websites. Not a single one guaranteed learning. Not one promised mastery, not one promised growth, not one said if you use this, students will learn more. By the way, the comments on this LinkedIn post were quite interesting. He says, here's what he found instead. Pattern 1, vague language hiding weak outcomes that they'll support educators, but they're not saying how students improve, that features are better than outcomes, that they have fancy dashboards, but again, can students read better by June? They're not saying that. Misaligned incentives, or VCs want scale, districts want compliance, teachers want help, but not incentivizing students actually learning. This one was my favorite. No skin in the game. Not a single product said, if your students don't grow, you pay. Number 5, the curse of procurement language. 82 of 100 sites never used the word mastery, and 47 of 100 never mentioned the word student on their homepage. That being where, like, my passion, if you ask me, Alice, what's your passion? Student-centered classrooms. And to not put students first on your front page is really troubling. I mean, since I am a developer and I follow a lot of coder developers, I see a lot of people who, bless their heart, want to do something for education, but are not educators. And they'll build something and then ask teachers. It's like, oh my gosh, it's too late. It's too late. You are too emotionally invested in what you have that when you have pushback and like, this isn't how teachers actually do things. Well, too bad. This is what I've built. I see a lot of that.
Alice, that hangs that piggybacks on all the have you been watching all the 5% problem? The 5% problem is that oh my gosh, 5% problem is that all of these ed tech licenses that students are that schools are buying, generally 5% of them are being used.
Right.
And so that's why,
Well,
because
that's
there's
why you get a
misalignment on goals. There's
90%
no skin in the
discount
game.
or an 80% discount.
but an hour and a half of training in August, and you expect it to be, actual not only in implementation, but in also looking at the data to inform implementation in your classroom, along with the other 670,000 things you have to do. And so that is why I love outcomes-based contracting, because
You're gonna bring it up.
I have to, because
We're
that's
just gonna
literally what
change
that's
our
literally what we
podcast
do.
to outcomes-based contracts.
Yep, that is literally what it does. It defines what the dosage should be. It defines what the skin in the game is for all the stakeholders, and that includes kids, not just they sat at the computer and were logged into the program for 20 minutes, which drives me crazy because I've been in classrooms and I've watched the teacher saying, "All right, let's get on our app." And I'm looking at little Johnny over here. Little Johnny has got his one tab open, but he's got his other tab open that has, cool math games or something, something worse. And that's what he's doing for that 20 minutes. And we wonder why he's not reading, because there's no accountability to ensure that he's actually completing lessons, not just sitting at the computer. So all of those things, if we're not talking about those things, talking through those things and defining them, why aren't they going to work? Huh?
Assessing by weight. You remember you're grading by weight, like, oh, it's heavy enough, you did enough work, full credit. And now
Yep.
it's like, oh, you have enough minutes,
Yep.
as opposed
What
to
is
really looking at what did they learn, at what level, depth of knowledge, critical thinking level did they learn it at? Did they enjoy it? Was it engaging? I mean, are we training kids to just
Because we're
be
not even talking about we're not talking about that. Not only are we not talking about that, we're not even talking about, did you do the work on the app? Like, that would be already minimal, but at least it's, did you go through the modules and
okay,
complete
but
them
what's
with
the quality of the
mastery?
module? Because I
That's it.
personally
No. No, we're not.
refuse to watch a video that's bad. Like you've assigned me to watch garbage, you've assigned me to do garbage, and I'm talking about some of my graduate classes that I've taken. I'm not doing it. I don't watch the videos. Your video is bad. Good for you. You sat down. Hi. Hey, no, we're not. We're not gonna talk about that. You've lost me already. You got 10 seconds to hook me in, and you think just because you took the time to sit and record your face and you didn't take the time to create engaging content that I should just force myself to be engaged. Pass.
Okay, and sidebar, and if you're an administrator or a district level administrator who says that your teacher should only show videos that they themselves create, stop that. Everybody is not a content creator. That is a separate talent, a separpt gift. There
Talent.
are enough videos on between all of the social media platforms that you will find quality instructional videos for what you want to teach. Please don't sit down there and do your own videos. That's not a flex. It's not.
Not a flex. It's not a flex. In fact, I would recommend, that we, for the most part, don't make our own videos
That part.
because, like, my master's degree is in educational media design, and it takes a really long time to create good video content. A 5-minute video did not take you 5 minutes. Hours. Yeah. So I definitely am team use other people's videos and you curate the learning experience. I mean, I don't write my own textbooks. Why should I make my own videos?
Wait. That is a soundbite for this week. You don't write your own textbooks. You should not feel obligated to create your own videos.
I definitely would like to piggyback on that. If you want to, knock yourself out. I'm not telling you don't make videos. We're saying don't feel obligated.
If you're good at it and you really know, if you're good at it, that's one thing. Then work it out. But just because someone says, nope, we don't want to use YouTube in our classrooms, it's like, but they're better than I am. That's the world we live in. You know what I mean? It just is. So
Yeah, I agree.
that one makes me sorry. That trigger button.
Okay. Go to your phone, doom scroll some. You said puppies. Puppies centered
And
you, I
yes,
believe, was the conversation.
wait, let me see what pops up. Oh, Granny and good looking guys dancing. Love it. That was joy.
Was joy. Well, good. What
Hispanic
else you got,
Heritage
Hedrick?
Month.
Ooh, Yeah.
Always, yep, it's
Hispanic Heritage
Hispanic
Month, that's
Heritage
good.
Month. I hope that people are still celebrating the people of Hispanic heritage who have added to the fabric of the American story. I think Hedrick, yeah, on Edutopia, Hedrick Nichols does have an. I say that because then you can remember my name. Does have an article on Hispanic heritage. It's a good one if you have younger kids. God, what Brenda, I want to say Mendoza is a wonderful author who does books on Sleeping Bear Press with storybooks from or explainers from 4 to 8 about different Hispanic history topics. So I do want to pass
Awesome.
those on to you. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, lots of great resources out there that you don't have to write. So Hedrick wrote some, and then I'm sorry, who was the other person that you were sharing?
Brenda Mendoza.
Brenda Mendoza. There's some great content out there. So, another good reason to really curate your social media, to be following these people who are sharing out those great resources so you don't have to make it yourself. Well, it's Monday, Hedrick. I feel really rested. I like got extra rest yesterday. So, I'm hoping that it keeps going and I can finish that code that I started to limit Google Forms. So maybe you can be on the lookout for that for later today.
Today. Ooh, that's exciting.
Because if I update an add-on, I can do that instantly. If I have to get a new one approved, that can take months. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Does
All right. So
everybody
now
know
you're
you can
thinking
say
like,
that?
what thing do I want that else could just add on to Quiz Helper?
I want somebody to add on something to a contract that says, have you actually talked about this and what everybody should be doing to ensure that kids achieve mastery? That's what I want to go back to that.
You know, funny you should say that because we could create a Google form that people could fill out when they are engaging with a vendor. Like send the vendor these questions, have them fill out your form, and then use some Gemini API integrated into that to report back to you. Are they going to follow up? Do they guarantee anything? Is this really just smoke and mirrors and snake oil? Could be done.
So, is that forthcoming? That sounds like a.
No, we just made up right now.
I, yeah, I know it's made up right now, but I mean, still, like, my question is, okay, when is that coming? Great idea. Let's do it. When is
Hey,
it
you
coming?
write the form, I'll write the code.
Okay, I can actually do that.
We
That's,
can do it.
oh my God, that is an amazing idea.
Think on it. Report back. I know, I love Google Forms and
Yes, so
spreadsheets.
do I. Same, 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 same.
I love spreadsheets.
And thank you, by the way, you don't even remember this, I bet, but years ago you taught me how to do a branch form. You taught me that skill years ago, how to
Well,
do a
something
branch.
else that I should turn that's a good point. I have some code, I think it's called alicekeeler.com/branching form that you can set up how many branches you want because in order to make a branching Google form, you got to make all your sections in advance. So you just go section, 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 section. I recommend you name the sections. Don't leave them section 5, but name it. And then you can go in and add one multiple choice question per section. And that the answer to that question determines which other section you bounce to. So kind of diagramming that. But it just takes a while to section, 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 section. So alskiller.com/branching form will create X number of sections for you really quickly.
I'm glad you mentioned it because literally I think that I saved that on my school computer, which I no longer have. And so branching forms. Good.
I got a ton of those unofficial add-ons that I need to make official. So my lsq.com/reusegc uses like a lot of permissions, like all the permissions, because as teachers, we tend to use all the Google Workspace tools. So I haven't made it an official add-on because of just how many permissions it has. But then I've started like, well, I can make a light version so that I could get this published because it'll reuse multiple Google Classroom assignments at once and do some other things. And I've discovered that actually I can use less permissions. So I'm working on getting that one published. But I have a lot. I mean, over the years, I've made so many. A lot of them I really could
Branching
just
forms is so helpful.
submit it.
You should do a class on branching forms. It's so useful in. No,
Okay,
seriously. It's just
sure.
it's useful at schools and for administrators and stuff because I mean, when they're not branched, they're so complicated. And that's
All
just a
right.
really
Well, It is 8:10, so if you wanna
Oh my god.
spend time, jump on to a live session, maybe this is what we do next Monday, is screen share and demonstrate making branching Google Forms. We can do it as a special episode or whatever you want, so stay tuned, friends. Who knows what we're gonna do? Maybe we will use Google Forms, and maybe we'll just drink coffee.
Right. Gosh, she actually went out for coffee this morning? Ew.
Panera Sip Club, so I get it for free.
Yeah, but you'd have to get up and get out this early. Okay, it's not
I
it's
always
8:10. We're
out.
gonna let you guys
Happens.
see y'all next week.